film review, movies, music, culture, politics, society podcast, interviews, movie reviews, and more. Live Sundays at 5:30 p.m. on Facebook at Crazon Dion.
The top 5 problems with interracial relationships. The top 5 problems with interracial relationships, right? And I start from number 5 and I go to number 1. And let's see if we can get this in within this 20 minutes. Okay. Number 5.
Okay.
Remember, this is the top 5 problems with interracial relationships. Number 5. Not enough interracial babies. Not enough interracial babies being born from interracial marriage.
Oh, so statistically, this is what
I am seeing.
So then
the trend is not to marry the person that you're with anymore.
Right.
And this does not bypass people who are in interracial relationships. They're putting the baby before the marriage. Okay. And really coming from, well, we'll get to that in a second, but black man with white woman, make sure that you get married before you have the baby. Black woman and white man, make sure that you get married before you have the baby. And why is that? Because it's, besides anything else, it's legal, it's marriage, they have a last name, that means insurance, all the other things, but it teaches stability, because there's a lot of things that are happening out here in this world that's going on, because which we're going to get into 4 through 1, where a stable household where both parents are on board, where they can teach the kid about what racism is. And we're going to get into that. But myself, my grandparents, my grandmother was black. My grandfather was white, right? They moved up to Ohio. That was one of 2 states in the United States that allowed interracial marriage. They moved up first, got married, then began to produce the offspring that then, because they loved their mother so much. My grandmother was a dark brown beauty. Her eyes were so dark brown that they were blue. That's midnight blue, okay? And he loved his wife so much, my grandfather, that he died at 65 working, doing his thing. He was on a tow motor and he had a full-blown stroke that threw him off of the tow motor. And as the story went, he waited as long as he could. When she came through the hospital door, he put his hand up and he passed away. He just wanted to see her one last time. So when I see people in interracial relationships, and when I say that they should be married, because the people come through with all of what's going on in the world today, you need to have that stability. And I know what happens when the people, he loved my grandmother so much that they saw the love that he had for her. And my mother had 2 brothers, and she made the third of 3 sisters, and all of them married men who reminded them in shade of their mother, which brought me about. It always comes back to me. So number 5, one of the main problems with interracial relationships is
not enough men.
Get married and then produce the offspring and stay married for that 18, 20, 25 years to raise the offspring, how many ever you have, and then after that it's gravy, and then y'all kicking it and staying together. And of course this can be applied to any relationship, black and then black and black, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, put marriage back into it, right? For the children. Because, but in this case, that's a problem because people go through certain things because this society is built to destroy and not build. If it's built to destroy the black person who is a straight black person, what do you think it's made to do for the people who they look at and say, this is why racism is around? Number 4, the parents not teaching the children about racism as if racism will ever be over until the race that is in fear ends its fear one way or the other. And what do I mean by that? If it's the white-black relationship, the white partner has to be knowledgeable of racism his or her people practice. Why do they practice racism, people? Because they found out long ago that when the original people on the planet mix with them, the dominant trace of the original person comes out in the people, and they are in fear that they will no longer be on the planet in their phenotype. And we're going to get there, right? So this is number 4. The parent has to be knowledgeable. The white parent. Look at remember the BET Awards?
Yeah.
And what's his name from Grey's Anatomy?
Oh yeah.
And his mother is freedom.
Williams.
Yeah, Jesse's mother is white, but she was a freedom fighter. His father was a pro-black man. They came together, married. They produced him.
Yes.
He was knowledgeable, and he gets up and he kicks it about the injustice of racism. Do you understand that?
Yeah. Same with Melissa Harris Perry.
Melissa Harris Perry. Do you understand what I'm saying? So this is very important to have that number 5, and then number 4, that the white partner admits to what it is and knows why it is, because what comes from her loins, or what comes from the black woman's loins when the white man sees it is the exact reason why racism exists in the first place. There was one of our actors. They were married. It was a black man, white woman, and she told a story about a squatter because they did property, right? They did real estate, and there was a squatter in the house, and when she had her husband stay there to watch the squatter so the police came. So when the police came, it was 2 white officers, and she told them, she said, the squatter is white, my husband is black. She said that because she didn't want them going in there automatically going after her husband, even though the squatter looked bummy or whatever, to go after the husband. So that was a person who was conscious, and their child, I knew then that the child would be laced and know what time it is. So what is wrong with the top 5 things? Number 5, lack of marriage. Number 4, lack of the white partner being as knowledgeable about race as the black partner is, right? So let's correct this. Oh, did y'all think we were going somewhere ignorant? Come on now, not from my background. All right. Number 3, the interracial couples allows his story to repeat itself. Interracial relationships have been going on since the time of the Moors, sailing the seas, landing in ports, teaching the Europeans how to wash, plant, become civilized by building civilizations. And the racism began then with the desire of certain uninformed people from the pale people being worried about the babies being brown and not looking at them. And later it happened. So let me expound upon that first. So what I'm saying there is that the pale people who they came, right? And we're going to get into why they're pale in it, because it's not about race, it's more about phenotype. And we're going to get there. So they were afraid once they start seeing these children come out that they would no longer be seen on the planet. And this is what racism is all about. That's why racism can never be stopped unless the fear is goes away, is resolved, right? So this is what it is. Later, it happened during World War II when babies and grown people were placed in concentration camps and ovens when the Nazis promoted a pure race. See, the Africans were coming over and they were working over in Germany. Now, you can search this out. They were working over in Germany, and, you know, there was a certain area in Germany, and the German women were going with the black men, and thus they were producing these brown babies, right? And there's a movie about that, about the situation about the black. It's produced by a black woman. She comes from Africa, and I'll have that later. But you can research this. But pretty much, the black kids, the offspring that were mixed, were put into concentration camps and ovens along with the Jewish people because they prefer a pure race, and they said, why are all these babies coming out brown? So they've seen it many a time, and so this is what this is about. Number 2. So what is the main problem with interracial relationships? Number 5, not being married before you had a child. Number 4, the white partner not having as much knowledge about their own people, causing racism and thinking that if you just show love, everything will be okay. But it can't be, because if you show love, then that's how your offspring came about, and they don't want that, right? See? Number 3, the interracial couple allowing history to repeat itself. Like, you don't know the history to know why this is going on, so you have to know history. Lack of knowing his story. Number 2, people problem. The number 2 problem wrong with interracial relationships is the racist has brainwashed some black people globally in America, some ADOS, that the interracial relations are as detrimental to black people as they are for those who are in fear of a black planet. Did you hear what I said? Let's say it again so it will be clear. The racists have brainwashed some black people globally and in America, some ADOS, that interracial relationships are as detrimental to black people as they are for those who are in fear of a black planet. Right? And that is far as from the truth as it is, because racism is created because of the fear of the black planet. As long as the children are informed and taught the true history truth, they will marry black people, and there are no problems in the end, because it comes back to me. Right? Yep. So number one, the top problem with interracial relationships today. There is only one race of people on the planet, with variations created by, with the various variations being created by sick scientists using fake findings to justify keeping certain people apart because the offspring don't look pale. Okay? But due to the injustices, we have to still endure what we had to endure. We used the language they created to discuss and battle the white supremacy system created to eliminate dark-skinned people from the planet, right? So unfortunately, we have to use the terminology and the language, and anyone who knows language and words are cast a spell. It's a spell. And so long as we keep using these terms, we're still going to be in the white supremacy system. So it's really not about race, people. It's about phenotypes. Now remember what I said about number 1, not knowing that there is only one race on the planet. It's about phenotypes, right? And phenotypes, the actual science is real. Phenotypes breaks down so simply on its lower level, but then you get into sub-phenotypes. But anyway, we won't get there. We're going to stay on surface level because we want you to research. But look, pretty much this is how it breaks down. If you're in a warmer or hotter climate and you're in the sun, you're going to have darker skin. Right? You're going to have darker skin because you have melanin to protect you from the sun and the hot element. If you're in a cooler, colder climate, the lighter your skin is going to be too pale, right? It's baked in. That whole phenotype, those phenotypes are baked in for millions of years for us. And for them crossing across the land bridges, that's 6,000 years, right, of them being who they are. So they're the youngest on the planet. And they are in fear of the black planet because they see that they then get re-swallowed up to what they actually are. And this is why racism won't be eliminated with love, because when you say love, well, love gets us to me. Right? And so that's what it is. So this is what it is, people. So it's really phenotype. So those are the top 5 problems with interracial relationships. Number 1, there's not enough information to know that there's only one race, and it's more about phenotypes, and it's about the further you get away from a hot climate with the sun and you go into a colder climate, then you start to change. And this is over millions of years. And then for them, once they got to the colder climate, Caucasus Mountains, and into the colder regions, then it was 6,000 years for them to be where they are today, right? And so it's millions of years, right? Number 2, interracial relationships. Black people being brainwashed that interracial relationships is as bad for us as it is for those who are in fear of the black planet. Number 3, the interracial couple allows his story to repeat. Right? Learn what happened in the past so that you can eliminate it in the future. Let your children know what they have to deal with. And that's actually everyone. Because
history is important. Like right now, like after the Halloween season, we'll be covering, one of the films we'll be covering is the Hidden Colors film.
That's right. That's right.
And which would be perfect, going towards the holiday season, gift giving would be perfect gifts, right?
That's right.
So history is very, very important.
Right.
And you have tools like that that could help.
That can help.
A great deal, right.
But this right here, this information I'm bringing this is information that I learned way before Hidden Colors, and stuff that I have worked on and studied in books and worked on because of my lineage. You understand? Number 4, the parents not teaching the children about racism and why racism actually exists. It's not about, we're going to love on you, because if we love on you, it's going to produce me. So that's not what it's about. It's more about a fear. It's the fear. It's not more about it. It's the fear of the black planet. Number 5, not enough interracial babies coming from the union of interracial marriage. If you're going to have the children, make sure that you love each other enough, and thus to love your offspring so that they will be in a stable household. Everyone needs a stable household so that you will be together for that 25 years. If you have kids, you have 2 kids, it'd probably be about 25 years. And after that, it's gravy. Y'all on vacation, y'all going around, and you have produced solid human beings. All people who are married, or people who want to have children, should be married first. And stay in that marriage for the children, and then be great. Because in actuality, people, I learned a long time ago, I was looking in high school. We met in college, but I was looking at high school. If I had found a person I was looking at junior high school. If I had found a person in junior high school, we would be together today. You know what I mean? It's because what you find is there's really nothing out there. And once you get to a certain age and you start getting to people having self-help groups and talking about whatever they're talking about, self-help groups, and then next thing you know, the women are really split away from the men, and once they get to a certain age, because they've been hurt, because they played around, because they thought youth was forever. Youth is not forever. So those were the top 5. Did you think we were going to get ignorant, people? No, but those are top 5. So this, what I said, should be put into think tanks and thought about and dissected and worked through in there, because in the end, it always comes back to me, unless the parent is unless the white parent is one that's about white supremacy, and they know that their herds are thinning out, so they're just using the black woman, and then they'll say, here, make sure you marry someone like you, and they keep on genetically doing this. So you have to learn about phenotypes and the genetic splicing and the things that were happening, kind of like how they took the tomato. Right. How we took the tomato, it was poisonous, and turned it into something that was edible. Right? It's kind of like that. And how we taught them how to grow oranges in Sicily. But those are other stories for other times, people.
The Film Review, Movies, Music, Culture, Politics, Society podcast. Interviews, movie reviews, and more. Live Sundays at 5:30 p.m. on Facebook at Crazon Dion.